The strongest Claude AI model may not be the real product anymore. The real product may be access. Anthropic released Claude Fable 5 as its most capable generally available Claude model. The obvious question is simple. Is it better than the other frontier AI models? But that is not the real story. 3 days after launch, Anthropic said a US government directive forced it to disable access to Fable 5 and Mythos 5 for all customers. So the question changed. It was no longer how smart is Claude Fable 5, it became who is actually allowed to use it. That is the access shock, and it may reveal a bigger shift in artificial intelligence. The smartest AI is not always the most valuable AI. The most valuable AI may be the one customers can actually use.
So this is not really a Claude versus GPT scoreboard. The default viewer question is, which model is better? But you are saying the better business question is, can anyone reliably use the model after launch? That is a different promise from a normal AI review. It also changes what the thumbnail is promising.
That is the shift. Think of the fastest car in the world sitting behind a locked glass wall. Everyone can see the engine, everyone can talk about the speed. Reviewers can call it amazing. But if you cannot get the keys, the car is not competing like a normal car. That is the Fable 5 problem. The model may be powerful, the demo may be impressive, the benchmark may be exciting, but if access changes, the product changes. This is not a normal Claude AI launch story. It is not a model review. It is a story about control. Start with what changed. Anthropic launched 2 names, Claude Fable 5 and Claude Mythos 5. Fable 5 was the version made broadly available. Mythos 5 was the more restricted version, aimed at selected trusted users in sensitive areas. According to Anthropic, they are tied to the same underlying capability, but they do not come with the same access rules. That detail matters. It means capability is not simply handed to every user in the same form. It is packaged. It is routed. It is monitored. It is controlled. That is where AI access control enters the business story.
When you say access control, I do not want to hear a vague policy phrase. What does it mean in normal user terms? Is this just a login issue, or does the model experience actually change? And if the experience changes, why should developers or enterprise buyers care? Viewers may hear access and think account settings.
The experience can change. Anthropic said Fable 5 includes safeguards. Some risky requests, including certain cybersecurity requests, may be routed away from Fable 5 and handled by Claude Opus 4.8 instead. For a casual user, that may sound like a small product detail. For a developer, it is not small. For an enterprise AI buyer, it is not small. Because the buyer is not asking only, can this model answer a hard question? The buyer is asking, can this model be trusted with real work? Can our employees use it? Can our lawyers approve it? Can our security team understand it? Can our workflow survive if access rules change next week? That is a different test. A demo tests intelligence. A business tests reliability. And reliability is where value starts to move. Now add the data question. Anthropic said Fable 5 requires 30-day data retention for safety monitoring. To a normal user, that may sound boring. To a company, it can be the whole meeting. A company may have source code, customer records, legal documents, research, or sensitive projects. It may want the strongest AI model, but it also needs rules it can approve. This is why enterprise AI does not move like consumer software. Consumers try a tool because it looks useful. Companies adopt a tool only after someone says yes. Legal has to say yes. Security has to say yes. Compliance has to say yes. IT has to say yes. Sometimes the model is not the hardest part. The approval path is the hardest part. The strongest model can win attention. The trusted model can win workflows. And workflows are where the money lives.
Here is the pushback. If Fable 5 is clearly stronger, companies may complain about retention, routing, and approvals, but still use it anyway. Maybe the best model remains the asset everyone wants, and access rules are just friction around it. In a hot AI market, friction does not always stop adoption.
That may be true. That is the boundary. Raw capability still matters. But the model is only valuable at scale if customers can use it inside real rules. Now bring back the June 12 event. Anthropic said a U.S. government export control directive required it to suspend access to Fable 5 and Mythos 5 by foreign nationals. Anthropic also said the net effect was that it had to disable access for all customers to ensure compliance. That is why 8S denied is not just a dramatic thumbnail, it is the business event. The access shock did not happen because customers were bored. It did not happen because the model had no demand. It happened because a frontier AI model became tangled with safety rules, data rules, access rules, and government permission. Government permission is the key phrase. Once government permission enters the product path, the AI market starts to look different. The model is still important, but the path to the model becomes important too. Who can use it? Where can they use it? What data can they send? Which version do they get? Which cloud platform can deliver it? Which customers count as trusted? Those questions sound less exciting than a benchmark chart, but they may decide who gets paid.
Could this still be one messy policy incident? Maybe Fable 5 goes offline. Anthropic resolves the dispute, access comes back, and the market treats it as noise. I do not want to turn one crisis into a permanent theory too early. That boundary matters for credibility.
That is the strongest counterargument. This could be temporary. Anthropic may restore access quickly, the government dispute may be resolved, the safeguards may become clearer, the data retention issue may become easier for buyers to accept. Developers may return if Fable 5 is simply too useful to ignore. If that happens, raw capability still matters a lot. A better model can still win developers. It can still win pilots. It can still set the standard for Claude AI and for the wider AI market. So the lesson is not that intelligence no longer matters. That would be too simple. The lesson is this: intelligence still matters, but intelligence alone may not be enough. The strongest model still needs a stable road to the customer. If that road breaks, the benchmark loses power. The first AI competition was easy to describe: better model, better answer, better benchmark. The next competition may be harder: better model, safer access, clear data rules, enterprise approval, trusted cloud distribution, government compliance. That is less flashy, but it is how software becomes infrastructure. In cloud computing, customers did not only buy fast servers, they bought dependable computing capacity with security, uptime, regions, support, and compliance. Frontier AI may be moving in the same direction. The customer may buy a reliable path to intelligence. That path can become the moat.
Moat is a big business word. Put it in plain English. Give me the chain in one sentence. If access becomes the product, who gains power and who gets squeezed outside the trusted path? No jargon.
The moat is the defense around the business. In AI, that defense may not be only model weights or benchmark scores. It may be the trusted access system around the model, the public version, the enterprise version, the research version, the government-approved version, the cloud-hosted version, the version with special data rules, the version developers can build on without waking up to a broken product. That is where power can move. Model labs gain power because they control versions and safeguards. Regulators gain power because they can change what access is allowed. Cloud AI platforms gain power because customers may want a safer way to deploy the model. Trusted access programs gain power because they decide who gets closer to the frontier. And everyone outside those trusted paths gets squeezed. Developers get squeezed if they build on one API, and that API becomes unavailable. Enterprise buyers get squeezed if the best model creates a new approval fight. International users get squeezed if access depends on nationality, location, or policy. Startups get squeezed if customers ask for backup models, data guarantees, and compliance promises before signing. That is why the phrase best AI model can be misleading. Best for what? Best for a benchmark? Best for a viral demo? Best for a developer tool? Best for a bank? Best for a global company with employees in many countries? Those are not the same answer. A frontier model can be brilliant in a demo and still hard to deploy. A less exciting model can be more valuable if customers can use it every day. Attention comes from capability. Adoption comes from trust, and in enterprise AI, adoption is the prize.
So the real test is not whether people praise the launch. It is whether companies keep building on the model after the access shock or start designing around the risk. That is more useful than tracking social media reactions because behavior beats comments.
That is the signal to watch. First, watch restoration. Does Anthropic restore Fable 5 access quickly? If access returns and customers keep using it, this may look like a sharp but temporary access crisis. Second, watch enterprise AI adoption. Do companies accept the safeguards and data retention rules, or do legal and security teams slow the rollout? Third, watch cloud AI distribution. Do customers prefer to get Claude Fable 5 through specific cloud platforms, regions, or compliance programs? If yes, the distribution channel becomes more valuable. Fourth, watch trusted access tiers. Do the most capable frontier AI models move into layered access, public tier, enterprise tier, trusted research tier, restricted government tier? If that happens, the market changes. Two labs could both have powerful models, but one could win because customers trust the access path more. Fifth, watch developer architecture. Do builders start adding backup models? Do they design products so one model restriction does not break the whole workflow? If they do, access risk has become part of product design. That is a major signal.
And what would prove the value shift is not happening? Give me the falsifier. What would make access boring again, so the strongest model can go back to being the main story before calling this a trend?
The reversal condition is clear. If frontier labs make access stable, safeguards clear, data policies acceptable, and government rules predictable, then raw capability can move back to the center. In that world, the access layer becomes boring, and when access becomes boring, the best model can win again. But if access remains uncertain, the opposite happens. The access layer becomes the business. That is why the Fable 5 story matters. It is not only about Anthropic. It is not only about Claude Fable 5. It is about how advanced AI gets distributed, approved, trusted, and monetized. Search engines, social feeds, and tech headlines will keep asking one question: which AI model is smartest? That question still matters. But for the AI economy, the more important question may be this: which AI model can customers actually use without access shocks? That is the question behind AI regulation. That is the question behind enterprise AI adoption. That is the question behind data retention and AI safety. That is the question behind cloud AI platforms. And that is the question behind the next layer of AI infrastructure. So do not only watch the model demos, watch who controls access, watch who gets approved, watch who gets routed, watch who gets the trusted version, watch who has to wait outside the glass wall. Because in frontier AI, the most powerful model may not be the most valuable model. The most valuable model may be the one customers are actually allowed to use, trust, and deploy. The headline is temporary. The value shift is not.